I'm not gonna lie, this title does sound like clickbait, but trust me, it's not. I've been a music director at many different churches over the years and have made a ton of mistakes that has taught me the most effective ways to grow church music teams. So today, I'm gonna share with you what I've learned in one hugely overlooked growth trait that most music directors miss when trying to grow their church music team. Now, if you're new here, this is the second video of a series that I'm doing to help you grow and develop your church music team. Now, if you guys watched my first video, y'all know there's 3 aspects that are most important to me when it comes to growing and developing a music team that I've learned over the years. First is communication. Second is structure. And third is growth. Today, we're gonna be talking about the second one, structure. Structure is made to make us thrive and not just survive. Which I'll be honest, that's where most of us are. Structure is made to help us so we're not always on a survival mentality every single Sunday. And I think one of the big things that hurts a lot of us is that we're afraid of structure because that means that we actually have to be accountable to somebody, and that's our team. But the thing is that you never grow when you're in survival mode. You actually grow when you're in thriving mode, when you actually have a system in place. So if something ever goes wrong, you have a system to help you get through it. And that's where you start to thrive because you already know those things are coming up and you're not just gonna try to survive, but you're just gonna get ahead of it and make yourself thrive. Now, the next reason structure is so important is that it creates culture. Culture is what creates incredible and developed music teams because it's not just a rule, but it's just a part of being on the team. So with structure, we create this culture and create these boundaries for our team to grow. Now, the next reason is that it sets expectations. A lot of times with music teams, we forget that we need to have a bare minimum requirement that's written down for people to go back and realize, okay, this is what it is on our team. This is what we committed to when we joined this team. It just allows you to have something to go back to if you ever have a question about what is the bare minimum requirement for being on the team. And also what it lets them know is how they can exceed their expectations. Because sometimes if they're not even doing the bare minimum and they don't realize they're not even doing the bare minimum, it's gonna be hard for them to exceed those expectations. Now, the next one is that it makes people more accountable. Like I said, creating requirements and setting expectations allows for you to look at a list and realize, okay, I want to be on this music team, but this is what I have to be accountable for. I have to be accountable for being at rehearsals on time. I have to be accountable for, making sure I practice my material, making sure that I communicate. All these things written down allows for you to have accountability with every one of your team members. And the last one of these is it eliminates excuses. I have worked with a lot of teams over the years, and I'm telling you, the excuses pile on, especially when you don't have any of the resources, when you don't schedule with enough time. I'm telling you guys, this has been one of the things that has helped me eliminate so many excuses for my team. It's almost going to be impossible to grow your team if you always have people giving excuses. If you give them enough resources, or if you let them know what time they're supposed to be at rehearsals or what time they're supposed to be at services, what it does is causes you to eliminate those excuses because now they have everything they need and really there's no excuses to be had. Now, this leads me to the first trait of having a growing and developing music team that is structured. One is to set an expectation. Now, when you set an expectation, what it allows for you to do is whenever you have somebody who's new or onboarding on the team, they know what they're committing to. That means they know, okay, I'm gonna have to be at these rehearsals at these times. I've gotta, practice my material. This is what's required of me. This goes for new members on the team, and this also goes for leaders on the team. If you have like a band leader or if you have a worship leader, they should have their own set of higher requirements as well so they know what they're committing to by playing that role on the team. What this allows is that it sets the boundary and expectation you have for them on the team. So if they're going into leadership, there's a higher expectation for leadership than just being a new member on the team. But if they're a new member on the team, they have to know, okay, this is the bare minimum of what you need to do. This is the songs you're gonna have. These are gonna be the things that you do. But all of this comes in a requirement and in a list of things that they can get when they're first joining the team. Now, let's talk about how to implement this on your team. First thing I would do is create a PDF with your bare minimum requirements for band members and vocalists. This is something you want to include how many absences they have each quarter, which I'm going to tell you is very, very helpful. For me personally, I have where you can have 3 absences a quarter. And what I consider an absence is where you call out when you're already on the schedule. Now, this doesn't consider blockouts. Like if you have a planning center or something like that, this is not a blockout moment. You can talk to your team and decide that for yourself. But for me, I don't usually count blockouts for that. But it's just those moments where it's just like, hey, I've got a thing and I'm not going to be able to make it this Sunday. If they hit all 3 of these or use all their absences up in a quarter, I don't schedule them until me and them can have a face-to-face meeting. And the reason why that is because 3 absences like that in a quarter tells me that maybe something else is going on. And so I want to talk with you and see what's going on and how we can develop and get better with our absences on the team. Now, a few more little things there that you need to keep on there is service times, what time they need to be at service, what time they need to be at rehearsal. All of those times need to be written in this description. If there's a commitment that your pastor requires for people who play music on the platform, have that in there. Leadership needs their requirements on there as well, because you want people to aspire to be something more. Because if everybody has the same exact requirements, all the leaders have the same requirements as all the team members, then it's not going to seem like there is a separation. Having a leadership description or a role for your leaders is very important, so people can be like, oh, they have to be there 15 minutes earlier. So if any of you guys have watched my past video talking about our in-ear systems and our talkback and all that kind of stuff, y'all know that we have been using Phenyx Pro. Phenyx Pro has been the system we use for all of our wireless in-ears for our singers and so on and so forth. They have been so great. And the reason why they're a company that you should definitely check out if you are a church music leader or you're over, music at your church is because their system is a really budget system. And they are so good. The unit we particularly got was the PTM 4B, which is where you can have up to 4 packs on one different unit. And it has been really, really great. So since we've had the Phenyx Pro system, we wanted to add another unit to the system. And so we decided to go with this Melinar stereo wireless in-ear unit. It's about $169 USD at the time of this video. But it was suggested to us because it goes well with the Phenyx Pro system and doesn't have any conflicting RF issues or anything like that. So we decided to go with it, and it has done us very, very well. Here at the church, we just got or added the Melinar system with our Phenyx Pro system. We got it here. It's literally right here in the rack with the PS2276, which is the antenna, and it's got all of the Phenyx Pro system and the Melinar system going through this antenna. And that antenna is way over there. We have it up there on the ceiling, so it's a more direct line of sight to our singers. And so yeah, that's the PAS2276, which is fed from right here. So this is our in-ear system, the inner system that we use. These communicate really well together, the Melinar and the Phenyx Pro system. So this is a great addition that we added to it. So definitely go check this out if you don't know anything about this system. And if you haven't checked out our original Phenyx Pro setup, definitely go check out the first video of my series. I want to give a huge thanks to Phenyx Pro for sponsoring today's video. All right, I did not realize that I was gonna have to actually make this a point on here, but the more I have traveled and done clinics at a lot of churches, I've seen where this is something that I need to talk about, which is creating a set list. And this is not just creating any set list, but a solid set list. The reason why this is important is because your team needs to know what songs they need to learn. Giving your team time and ability to be able to practice the song is vital. They can't get better at something if they don't even know that it's gonna be on the set list until 2 days before service. So that's the reason why having a solid set list where you have all your songs that you're for sure doing and not just options on that list. There's churches I've been to that have, a lot of songs that they put on a list, maybe 10 or 12 songs, but they only do 3 of those songs in actual service. That's confusing for people, especially team members, because they don't know what they need to put their time and effort into. I don't necessarily have time to learn all of these different songs, 10 different songs before Sunday service. And if I do, I'm gonna not be doing my best on any of them. So knowing this and having a solid set list is so important for people to be able to play with excellence. Now I know I'm about to step on some toes here, but this is real. Not having a set list can make it easier for you to procrastinate. Because what happens is that you push off picking songs until you're absolutely forced to. It doesn't hurt for you to change a song or two to a couple of days or even a week leading up to it if you feel a change, but it does hurt your team from growing if that's how you choose your entire set list. Now, another point with this is that the team knows exactly what they need to practice. If they don't have what they need to practice, know the exact songs that they're doing and what they need to practice, it's gonna be really hard for them to come in ready and prepared for service. Which leads me to my last point in this. It allows for other teams and ministries like lyrics, audio engineer, live stream, etc., to know and have time to prepare for Sunday service. What we do on a music team for set lists or things like that, it affects your lyrics. They got to know what songs you got in there. Also affects your audio engineer. They need to know who's leading and soloing on a song. And also the live stream also needs to know those things as well. So having a solid set list doesn't just affect the music team, but it affects other ministries around you. So now let's talk about some ways on how you can implement this for your music team. First, you could create set lists 2 or 3 services ahead of time or a month out. Because I have people on my team, they're only scheduled 1 to 2 times a month. But if I send out that schedule a week ahead of time, it's gonna be really hard for them to be able to structure their week when they're already in the week. If you create your set list 2 to 3 services ahead of time or a month out, it really allows for people to have time to practice and be able to come prepared. So to give you an example of this, here's a Sunday that we had in the past month. And this is what I'm talking about, having a song on there and also having whoever's leading on there. And also we have the sequences in there. So if you click on the song and go to the sequence, you can see the sequence of the song. And also the app that I'm using right now is Planning Center. There's other softwares out there that are not Planning Center, but they do a lot of the same things as Planning Center. But I'll let you guys make that choice for yourself, but this is just what we use. Now this is where the rubber meets the road, and that is scheduling. Scheduling is so important when it comes to getting your team to be able to be prepared with excellence on Sundays. Now, when you don't schedule in advance, you can expect excuses, not excellence. This is the reason why scheduling is so important. And this was a hard thing that I learned over the years. For people, they have their own schedules. They have families, they have kids. And so you can't base your scheduling off of your schedule. You have to create and have space so people can make their schedule around what's happening. Another reason why this is important is because it doesn't give your team enough time to practice. And so if you have somebody who has a really rough work schedule and you give them their songs 3 days out, they're not gonna have any time to do that, because when they get to that weekend, they're gonna wanna rest. You know, the Saturday before, they're gonna wanna rest. They're not gonna wanna be practicing songs or things like that. That's the reason why if you give it 3 weeks out, what happens is that now when they're looking at their schedule, be like, oh man, I could take a Saturday here and practice, I could take a Saturday here and practice, and then the Saturday before I can rest. And so that allows for people to have control over their schedule. And the last important thing about this is when you don't schedule out, you are just trying to survive every single Sunday, which is not what we want to do. If we're going to be growing and developing our music team, we want to thrive every Sunday. Now, this is a pretty quick one, but it's having a roster of songs. Having a list of songs that your church does and is familiar with allows for you to keep songs fresh, allows for you to archive ones that are overdone, and also add new ones, and your team knows what's new, and it's not just random and the ethereal of like, what songs do we actually, when's the last time we did this song? It really helps you to see, oh, we've done this song a bunch, or we haven't done this song a bunch. And it allows for you to be able to help people to know, all right, this is the songs that we do at our church, because it makes you stay fresh in your sets and when also you're trying to add new ones to your roster. Now, some ways to implement this on your team: create a list of all the songs that you've done in the past year or two at your church. Then archive those songs that are overused or overdone at your church, or you feel like your church needs a break from. Now, after you do that, share the list with your team with the current list of songs that are active, then add song keys and arrangements. Now, another quick one: set a beginning and end time to your rehearsals. This is so important when creating trust with your teams. They can schedule and know how long they could plan to be at rehearsal. And the reason why a lot of leaders don't like to have an end time, because now it puts pressure on you to get things done in a boundary of time. But the thing is that as you get better, you should be able to be like, okay, hour and a half is all we need. And people know, and they can trust if they come to rehearsal, they're not gonna be there for 3 or 4 hours. They know, okay, we're only gonna be here for an hour and a half because that's what they set. And they're gonna hold you to that. I promise you they will. But it's only gonna make you better. Now, another one is supplying resources, chord charts, lyrics, tracks, etc. This is important to create a culture so people don't have to ask you a million questions. And this also cuts down the team practice time, because when they come to rehearsals, they can be ready and not just waiting and to practice when they get there. Now, some ways to implement this is to purchase chord charts or number charts from places like OnSong, Praise Charts, Song Select, Worship Together. There's just so many different websites. They're like $2 to $5. So you should be able to find these and get the original charts for songs easily. Now, for vocalists, I would definitely say make sure you have some type of color-coded chart or something where they can hear their vocal parts, because those things really, really help. Because if somebody is a singer, being able to listen in their car and sing their part, and you have somebody who's singing that part, is very helpful, because all they have to do is sing with that part. And then when they come on Sunday, they know what that part is. And so it takes time to do this. And so what we do is we take it a Sunday at a time. If we don't have a vocal part created for it, we create it for that Sunday set list every single Sunday. And that starts to compound over time, and you start to fill up all your different songs that you have. So the last thing is to create a GAP, which is a gradual action plan. You want to implement a small action or goal in each of the categories that I talked about of these topics, and start doing them gradually. Because if you do it too fast, it becomes too much for you, and your team they won't get with it. You want things to be gradual and not impulsive, because if people feel impulsiveness in it, there's going to be hard for it to become concrete. And we want to be able to keep it concrete and consistent. Just remember, boundaries create culture, and culture creates growth. And that is so incredibly important when utilizing all of these different things that I talked about in today's video. Structure can seem like it's not that important because you can't immediately see the effects of it, but it comes with time. You have to remember, creating culture is one of the most time-consuming and challenging things you'll do. But once it's created, it makes your job so much easier on the back end. Now, don't try and apply all of these things overnight, because it would only frustrate you and your team. Make your changes small and gradual, because you want these things to be concrete, and that comes with time. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely drop a comment below, and also hit that like and subscribe and that bell so you're notified when the newest videos are uploaded. Now, if you want to support this channel, there's a couple of ways you can. You can go to my website, travisdykesmusic.com, and make a purchase to any of the resources or products on there. And also, you can check out my affiliate links in the description below, to where if you click and make a purchase to any of those links or products, this channel will get a kickback to bring you more videos. Now, if you're interested in the Phenyx Pro system or the Melinar system that I went over in today's video, definitely go check it out in the description below. Now, if you missed the first video in this series, definitely check it out right here.